Shrader here from the Kilted Buffalo. Welcome, Shawn.
Hey, thanks for having me.
The thing
Welcome,
I like
my friend.
about the name Kilted Buffalo is you can't really tell what the heck it is from the title. I like that. So tell people, what is the Kilted Buffalo?
Well, we're a contemporary barbershop and neighborhood pub, which is fairly a unique combination.
Certainly is. Certainly is.
Is
Where did this idea come from?
Yeah.
It really sprang up out of necessity. I ran restaurants for years, and I'm not really a culinary guy. I don't have a big culinary background or food passion, but I love the service industry. So I took a step back and did some other business ventures and really wanted to be back into the service industry, neighborhood pub world, and basically put together this crazy idea that 6.5 years later is going pretty well to put a neighborhood pub and a glassed-in barbershop. A lot of people can't vision that, so I say glassed-in barbershop. So you
I'm
get a
glad
little bit.
you said that. Yeah, that did matter to me to hear you say that.
Sure, and you know, once you walk in, people walk in and say, "This is awesome. It's not exactly what I envisioned. It's great." Is what we basically were trying to do is take the barbershop theme from days gone by, so to speak, and kind of recreate that, where you can come in and talk business, you can come in and talk community, you can come in and talk about the things that are important to the individuals that are wanting to visit and to learn and teach others around them about what we're doing. And then the pub aspect makes it a lot more social. In this business environment, you have to kind of have dual streams of revenue. You talk about diversifying. I guess that would be maybe one of my ways that I diversified from the beginning.
True, and that makes sense.
Well, Shawn, let's talk a little bit about you are the Small Business of the Year for Lake Norman Chamber.
What an honor.
Well, I was one of the people that had to actually
Joe's going to
judge.
take credit.
I can't take credit. I might take
You're
credit.
gonna try.
I might take credit for the next one, but I can't take credit for Shawn. I didn't know your business that well. You know, I knew of it. I've driven by it, but I didn't actually. So I started reading up. I started doing a little bit of due diligence, and I thought, wow, what a really unique and interesting business. And it really does take a real business mind with creativity to come up with this. So congratulations on that. It really is just a remarkable business that threw it over the top for me. Just because of its creativity.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, the diversification issue that we talked about is an interesting one because, people would say, okay, is it a barbershop or is it a pub? And in your case, as I understand, you're open till late hours. So you run a pub business as well.
We are
pretty cool.
Two unique businesses that definitely feed off of each other. We market them as one business. Our staff is interchangeable to a certain degree, and it's one of those things where people ask me and have asked me over the years, what was first? Was it a barbershop and then you decided to be a pub, or was it a pub and you decided to be a barbershop? And the honest answer is it was both from the very beginning, and that's what had to make it work. When you're going into retail spaces, fairly high-end retail spaces like a Birkdale Village or a Langtree Bar out west at the lake, you really have to know that you're going to have revenue coming in, and that would apply to any business that you're in, maximizing your revenue no matter what time of day it is or that. I'm paying rent on that 365, 24/7. So being able to drive revenue during the day is very strategic from the barbershop, and then obviously driving revenue and creating an environment for the neighborhood pub. And that's the difference between being a bar and being a neighborhood pub. We do a lot of community involvement through the pub that ties the barbershop in. And that's probably one of the things that created the opportunity for me to win Small Business of the Year through the Lake Norman Chamber.
Well, I think so. I had my congratulations, and you kind of glossed over it, but you're in Birkdale Village, exit 25 off I-77, but you just opened up a new one, right?
Well, we say just, and it feels like just. We're about to roll over our 2-year anniversary.
What?
Time flies.
With Langtree? With Langtree?
With Langtree. Time flies. We opened up.
Holy cow.
The week before football NFL season kicks off, we'll be celebrating and rolling into the first Thursday night Panther football game.
I was thinking it was just
We'll be
last
celebrating 2-year anniversary up there. So just over 6 in Birkdale Village and right at 2 now in Langtree.
Fantastic.
Shawn, can you talk a little bit? There's a lot of small business people listening. Can you talk to them about the challenges of opening up that second store and the thought process? Because it really does change a lot of things when you do that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I learned a lot. I thought I knew what I was doing going into opening the second location. And I still tell people it's 2 years, and it feels like it was last week that we opened up the second location. But you have to be prepared, and you have to have developed the right people to take care of home base. And I've been very fortunate. I have a great staff, a great team around me. And I felt like when I walked away, and you use the term walk away, and you could cringe as a small business owner, but you really do have to almost walk away a little bit and empower and trust your people to run your first location, because all the things that it took to get the first location successful, we had to duplicate in the second location.
Which means your time.
A lot of it, yeah. And so mentally I had to be there, and then I thought my staff kind of knew what that meant, until they would call me and I would be in the middle of something in the new location and they'd have to figure it out on their own. And then they really learned quickly what that really meant, that I wasn't going to be there in their space, as much as I was in the past.
I'm curious, when did you decide, okay, I'm ready for number two? When did that happen? Was it a long planning process, or is it just something that you woke up one day and said, yeah, you know what, I think I'm ready for another one?
I think I started thinking about it after year 2 or 2.5, 3, knowing that it wasn't, knowing that the concept was proven. One of the things, no one's done it. You
Sure.
put a barbershop and a pub together, and you have to say, is this my dream or is this a real business?
Right.
And after the second year, it's easily to identify this is a really good, successful business model, and I need to duplicate it. Birkdale Village is a great location, and could it be just location driven? Is my success based on only location, or is it a standalone concept? So I identified that it was definitely a standalone concept, so I started looking for space. That alone, and most entrepreneurs will know, that alone is a challenge to find
Sure.
the right fit. The mixed use development for me, it's the similarity between Langtree and Birkdale, kind of drives our neighborhood pub theme or feel. So about 2.5 years in, it took me 5 years to actually get open. One of the things, I don't have business partners or investors, so one of the things I needed to make sure of, and a trap that entrepreneurs may fall in, is trying to do too much too quick. You talked about diversification, but the flip side of that is do too much too quick. So needed to make sure we were financially on solid ground going into the next location, so I didn't have to take on investors or partners.
Now, both you and our next guest, I know, are very active in the community as well. And in fact, you mentioned it, and I don't know if people realize this, but the difference between a bar and a pub, in my mind, is significantly different. And the pub, to me, is more, doesn't mean a bar can't be, but is more community oriented. So explain a little bit the kind of events and the kind of things you do for the community.
They really run across the board. We started off, I'll tell the story quickly. It was an accident, but we basically started a guest bartender for a charity or a good cause on pretty much every Tuesday night, and let's say 4 out of the 5 Tuesday nights at my original location. We would have, whether it's the Lake Norman Little League, or whether it's in October for breast cancer awareness, or whatever the good cause might be, and we reached out to the community, and pretty quickly we have a line, and we're booking 6, 8, 10 weeks in advance now. Great. Of who's going to come in. So basically, that was one of the things that kind of made us different. It was an accident because I was working a lot, and I was working behind the bar a lot. I couldn't afford to have staff early on, and it was my passion. So I was doing it. I had a friend come in and say, I'd love to help you. So I let him. And then the next week, another friend said, I'd love to help you, but if I help you, I want to donate the money that we raise and that I make for my tips tonight to the Big Brothers. And boom, it was born. It was that much of a light switch that it was born, that Tuesday night fun with friends behind the bar just to kind of help out and for they could experience and have a good time, then became a community involvement charity event. And 6 years later, we've had a lot of fun doing it.
And also gets people in the place, too, let's face it.
Oh, it's a win-win,
Yeah,
without
absolutely.
a doubt. We get exposure from that, from people that, you mentioned earlier, you didn't really know a lot about us. we're one of the best kept secrets and best grown secrets in Mecklenburg and Irondale County.
I
still.
agree. I absolutely agree. Talk a little bit more about the difference between a bar and a local pub. That's an interesting thought, and the reason why I liked it is because there's small business people out there that kind of miss this, that sometimes what you're creating isn't actually what the customer sees it to be. So in your case, it seems like you've really thought this through. Talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Well, my idea of the neighborhood pub is, and it ties back to the barbershop theme as well, it's where the community can actually gather. If you're looking for a place to come in and pound a bunch of alcohol and really whoop it up, yeah, there might be some of that in our environment later in the evening, late nights, whatever. But our real core concept is a lot more about sitting around, enjoying an adult beverage, and actually interacting with the people around you. The bar design, the U-shaped design and some of the features of the bar kind of force or create that. We've got bar top games and some other pub games that we interact with our customers on, and our staff actually, we train them to take the time to talk to our customers and introduce them to some of the new games and things we have. So the pub versus the bar is, some of it is age group, some of it is, event driven. With all the things, we're not being in too high-end retail environments. We're not necessarily price point sensitive. Our customers are more event and customer service driven. So it's a different way we've chosen to market.
How about the demographics? You talk about mixed use. Is it important that the people that live there frequent this type of place a lot, or do you know where they're coming from? Does it matter?
It is important. It's important to them. They take a sense of pride in what we do and in their involvement. We're doing things like chili cook-offs. And we're in a 1,700 square foot footprint at Burkdale Village, which is pretty small, and we almost doubled that at my second location, learning from your your experience. But we'll do a chili cook-off for the community, and we'll get 25 or 30 entries on a Sunday afternoon, and the people are coming in and sharing recipes with each other and competitively having a good time and celebrating people's successes and kind of talking a little trash about their chili being better.
Right.
But those are the things that we're doing that maybe a bar, when you say a pub versus a bar, maybe aren't doing.
Well, I think having the residential side could be a key. I mean, you've done that both now with Langtree and Burkdale, because I think of the pubs in Europe. I mean, there's a neighborhood pubs, and same people go, and they usually live in the area or the neighborhood or something like that. And I don't know. I just think it's a really interesting, great concept, because you've got two fairly diverse businesses that are operating together.
I
It's
agree.
pretty cool.
Well, people walking. The ability for them to walk or ride their bike or bring their dog by, to me, speaks to pub also, a neighborhood versus, driving uptown to go to a club or a bar. And there's nothing wrong with that. There are different environments, and you choose those for different reasons.
Well, give people your website so they know how they can learn about you.
It's thekiltedbuffalo.com. And that you go to our website and you can learn about either of the two locations, Huntersville or Mooresville. And
can you make an appointment on there too for the
you
haircut
can.
if you want?
You absolutely can. That's the other thing about the barbershop environment is, unlike some barbershops, you can do appointments, and because we're catering to busy professionals, and some of them want to be able to just walk in whenever they can, and we leave chairs open for that from our hairstylist, and some of them want to be able to know that they can get in at 11:30 so they can be out and on the way by 12 and back to their next meeting.
We have been talking with Shawn with the Kilted Buffalo Pub and Barbershop.
2016 Small Business of the Year. Congratulations, Shawn. Thanks for joining us.
Barbershop. He's got a location in Burkdale and in Langtree. Shawn, thank you so much, my friend.